In the last episode of Pixar's Adventure Park, we started to build a Bugs Land, building a very basic little entrance sign, a little jumper ride, and also placed some very basic nature down. Hello everyone and welcome to Pixar's Adventure Park episode 13. In this episode we're going to try and finish off a Bugs Land. As I said in the last episode, it's not a very big land, so it's going to be a pretty quick build. And what that means for this video is that we need to do the main roller coaster of the land, which if you watched the last episode, you know I really struggled with, so this is going to be fun. But before we do that, I just want to clear out the back of this ride because I want the coaster to kind of go behind it. So let's fix that up real quick. Now, for now, I'm just going to get rid of these trees and a couple of these clovers, but I'll add them back in once I know where the coaster is. There we go. That's looking a lot more empty. Now, the next thing we need to do is just get the station in place. And of course, for this, I'm going to be using the caterpillar skin on the junior coaster. And I think what I might do is have it run this way instead of this way. I'm going to put it up a level like that. It is at this point that we can start to try and make it at least. Now, I'm not going to make you sit here and watch the whole time of me building this coaster. It took me like 3 to 4 attempts, which was like 1 to 2 hours long. So let's just skip to the finished layout of the coaster. So it has been a while and I think I have finally got this sort of coaster layout done. So let me show you what we have made. When I tell you as well, this took hours. I mean, it legit took hours, which is, you'd think it would be a bit quicker trying to make like a kid's ride, but, yeah. So the ride is very basic. Of course, you're going to get nothing fancy. It is a junior coaster, and I had nothing crazy planned for it. Really, what I want to do is have a simple little ride that goes through some lovely scenery in the theme of A Bug's Life. It's got 2 little chain lifts with 2 little drops. It's nothing special. This last part here took me a while to get looking decent. It's not the best, but it's going to work, which is the most important part. And there you have it. Pretty basic little ride, but I think it will fit this area quite perfectly. Now that we've got that done, I think the next thing I want to do is quickly just color this track to something a bit more appropriate, maybe. I actually don't know if I want to make the track brown or green, because green I feel like will just like pop and look a lot nicer. You know, I think we'll go with some green. So the next thing I want to do is quickly figure out this little station. So let's get started with that. First thing we need to do, of course, is actually build the station. And for now, I'm just going to paint this wood. Now we're going to need to create a pretty basic line for this ride. Oh, this is going to be difficult actually. So I'm thinking we're going to have the entrance, a little staircase here, and the queue is going to kind of wrap around here a bit and maybe be around here. And then the exit staircase will be right here and you'll walk out just to here. And now what I can do is create a basic little staircase. So we got one side of the staircase done. And I should just be able to copy it over to this side. Now that we got the basic station and very basic, I think I want to try and map out this queue a little bit. I like the entrance for the ride to maybe be right here. I think that would look pretty nice. So my plan is I'm going to have it kind of come all the way around here, wrap back all the way around to here. So let's see if we can get that. All right, so I now have a basic little queue in place and it works pretty nicely. You enter here, you go all the way down here, spin around, come all the way back. Pretty basic. Now that we've got that done, I want to quickly just get the exit made. And there we go. Pretty basic exit done. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, which is going to take hours as it did with the flat ride, is the fencing, which is pretty much going to be the exact same as the flat ride. So I'll be back in a couple hours. I'm lost! So when I tell you this fence legit took me like maybe an hour and a half, I'm not even kidding. Like, it took way too long, but it looks pretty nice. So now the next thing I want to do is fix up not only this station, but I want to try and hide as much of this shell building as I possibly can. And that is going to prove to be really difficult. I was originally just going to place a bunch of trees here, but I don't think that's going to fit as nicely as I originally thought. So I have another little idea I want to try. That is pretty much, I want there just to be some wooden backdrop as you're going up. You know, like California Screaming, how they got those like pipes that you kind of go through. I kind of want to do that here, so we'll try and see what we can do. But before we get to that, let's quickly just fix up the station because it is quite plain and it needs to be more buggy, I guess you'd say. So the first thing I'm going to do is get some cylinders and put them in each sort of corner of the station. And we're gonna make those kind of look like sticks. The simple way I'm going to do that is just to slightly rotate these and move them up. I mean, it's no easier way. What I can also do is just add some little other parts sticking out like that. It looks pretty much like a stick, I guess. The next thing I need to do is just grab these, put one in each corner. Now that's pretty good, but we need to cover up this area here. So the way I'm going to do that is just with a blank wall. We'll make this blank wall just a little darker. And then the next thing I'm going to do is just make really small sticks that go all the way across. We will then paint these sort of sticks just a lighter wood color like that. Now all we need to do is move these up, and then every so often I'm just gonna kind of like play around with the rotation of them. I think it will be cool, and just kind of copy that all the way up until we hit the top. And honestly, I think something like that will do. Another thing I can do is just grab these sticks for extra structural support, put one in the middle like that, and I think that'll look quite nice. And another thing that I can do that is cool is have these sort of beams with the supports being held up by the sticks. Oh, that is sick. The next thing I want to do is just get the roof in place, and I'm thinking of just making these sort of more twig pieces, I guess. I don't know. And it's going to be pretty boring, so I'm just going to come back once I've got pretty much the station done, because I want to get onto some other parts of the land, like, you know, the ride and the decorating parts, the parts that are more fun to watch.
I am a cute little bumblebee.
So it has been a minute, and I may have done some off-screen grinding, so though it may look like I've done a lot, it's not too much, I'll be honest. So with the station, I just kind of put like sticks everywhere, you know, put them as a support post, put them as a roof, kind of made it look naturally curved, like I guess ants built this almost. I even built a little control station here for the ride, and I think overall the station itself, it looks quite nice. Other than the station, I also just did the dirt along the floor. That's nothing too much, but with all that done, it means we can now start to decorate this whole area. And the first thing I think I want to do is try and just get this queue looking a little nicer. And the way we're going to do that is just with some basic little bushes like so. Just adding a bit of greenery helps it look so much better. And actually talking about adding greenery, what I might do is add some more of like the vines effect that I've done over here, and that might honestly make it look so cool. So if I just make these green, oh, okay, that's gonna look sick. Now I won't be doing this around the whole ride because that will take way too damn long. Just do it around some major elements just to add a bit of like a color variation. Just adding this just makes it look so much more detailed. It's honestly insane. I can even do it just above where all the lamps are, like it's holding up the lamps. Oh, that is so cool. Now, one thing I haven't really said about this Bugs Land area is that it's not really based off the real one. I kind of wanted to try something just a little different. And of course, I don't think the actual one would have fit inside of here, especially with it's tough to be a bug. I've seen lots of people comment that I should add that, but I don't think adding stage shows to the park is really like necessary. Like I was originally planning in the Monsters Inc. area, I was going to put Mike's laugh floor where Harryhausen's was, but I kind of realized that it's kind of pointless because you can't really put anything inside of it. So I'm probably gonna just not add any sort of stage shows or anything, you know, along those lines. We could even add some of this green stuff up here to these. Oh my gosh, this is gonna look so good. Well, now that we got that pretty much done, I want to now do the supports for the whole ride, which is gonna take so long. And I think we'll start here with the chain lift, and as I said before, I need to try and cover up the show building here, so let's try and figure something out. Now, my plan is I'm kind of just going to make like a sort of tunnel sort of thing, I guess you could call it. Something sort of like this, I feel like could work well. So that way on the ride, not only does it cover the right, but it just covers this quite a lot as well. There we go, something like that. It's very basic, but I'm hoping it should work somewhat decently well. So far, this is looking pretty good, but the next thing I want to do is kind of have the same sort of roof idea going up the chain lift, so that's going to be difficult. So let's try and get started with that. And to make this look as natural as possible, I think I'm going to add sort of like a beam on the top here. I will then grab the pole, move it over to like maybe there. And then the next thing we have to do is just make that sort of roof, which is going to be a lot of little poles. I'm honestly just gonna spam these randomly, go back through and fix it up just a little bit. I feel like that's just the best way to do it. And now that we got this sort of roof idea made, I'm gonna quickly do the pillars. For those, I'm just gonna do really thick and try and make them look like sticks again, of course. What I'll also do, just for some extra details, is add in these sort of like triangular supports on these sticks. This is looking quite nice so far, I think. Now, I think just for a bit more detail on the back wall, I'm just gonna grab these, copy it, and paste it here just for a bit of added detail. And that should make it look a lot nicer, which it 100% does. So off screen, I continue this up and I made it kind of curved down a bit to the point where you start to turn, just so you don't see the shell building on the ride. So I think that's pretty good. With that done, I think what we need to do now is add supports, because we can't just have this massive floating structure in the sky. Actually, just before I add supports, I think I just want to add some lights to this, just because it looks very weird in the dark. And there we go. The lighting now makes it look a little nicer. Well, let's get started with these supports. And for this area in particular, I'm going to need to make these supports like massive. So let's get to that. So the generic idea I have for the supports is pretty much like wooden supports, like almost like a wooden coaster, but not as detailed, because I have already spent way too much time on this damn station. So the idea that I wanted to go with for the supports is sort of like an A-frame type thing. So something sort of like that, but I think it just needs a little more. So maybe I might add just this one in the middle like that. We of course have to add extra details to this to make it look somewhat nice. I think something like that should work pretty nicely. Now all I need to do is copy this up into each one, and then of course extend the legs down so it hits the floor. But before I do that, I just want to add some extra little details. With that of course being some more of those sort of like rope effects. With that done, we can now just grab these and start copying them around. And then now, of course, we need to extend these. Only problem is this is going into the queue, so I think I might have an idea of what I can do. Kind of do something like that and just kind of redirect it, I guess. We'll see how this looks. I don't know. That looks a bit funky. Let's try something else. So maybe instead of just a basic A-frame, we kind of do something like this, and then it just goes straight down. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. Just like that, that should work pretty well. So now what we can do is grab this, copy it up, put it like here. And although this isn't tall enough, we can just copy this one and put it down like that. I think one thing that's making this look weird is the amount of like green on it. So I'm going to try and just remove just a little bit. Actually, instead of removing it, I'm going to use this more sort of rope look. Take some of that rope and it should hopefully make it look a lot better. There we go. I think that looks just so much better with less green there. Now what I want to do is there's a big area here where you can still see the showroom. So I'm going to try and fix that using one of these bad boys. But I'm going to adjust it just a little bit. The way I'm going to do that is I'm just going to grab each of these leaves and try and make it like flat, because this is pretty wide, so it will spread across a wide area. And now we can place this back here. It should hopefully cover up a fair bit. Now I'm obviously not going to be able to cover that whole thing up, which is unfortunate. Another idea I had was just copying this whole wall, extruding it. Another idea I had was copying this whole wall, extruding it out, and just painting it a grass texture. I'm going to try that and see how it looks, and we will just make it grass, I guess. Honestly, it works, and it's kind of the same as what I did in Castle over there. So I'm just going to go with it. Yeah, honestly, I think that works. Yeah, I don't know. I think it works well for just the fact that it kind of covers it up. With this 4-leaf clover, I'm going to kind of put it down to try and cover up what's in there. You can also, of course, just put trees down at this height. Honestly, I think that just works. One thing I'm going to do is same as sort of over there, is make this kind of just look like mountains, I guess. So I'm just going to grab some cylinders and sort of just make those kind of spread out among the place. I think I'm pretty happy with how this looks at the moment. It feels like I have kind of hidden it back enough. And honestly, it could be a lot worse. It could be a lot better. So I want to try and get all these supports for the ride done like now. Then finally, we can do the final decorations, stuff like that. Actually, before supports, there's a couple little things I want to build, some cool little things I want to add. So like over here, I want to add a massive tap. I don't know what you call this, a hose, I guess. Let me just show you. So we'll start off with something decently big. We will then find the new hexagon primitives. I've kind of just got like a reference photo up. This sort of idea has been done in the parks and was actually inside of the Bugsland area. And I think that looks pretty decent. So now what I'm going to do is paint it. This is going to be pretty much majority metal. So we'll do that. And we want the top to be red, and then the bottom pipe here, I'm just going to make it a bit of a darker color like that. And then the next thing we need to do is just add the actual hose itself. There we go. That looks quite nice. And then what I can do is kind of just get this pipe thing, have it coming out the back here, just so it kind of looks like the hose is going around a little bit. And what I'm going to do is cover up the ends with the leaves so you can't see them properly. Also going to cover up this end with trees. That's pretty freaking cool, I can't lie. And for now, I think that's good because before we can do any details on the floor, I'd like to just get supports into place. So let's get to that. All right, support wise, I got no clue what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to go with some basic sort of ride supports, I guess. And I'm just going to make them wooden just because doing these ones took so long and I can't be bothered to do that again. So I've got a pretty basic little support thing made. I know I'm gonna get attacks in the comments. I don't know what you call it, like a authentic one, I guess, but too bad. So this is gonna take absolutely like hours to do. So I'm gonna go back to some off-screen grinding and I'll be right back with you.
Finally, I'm a beautiful butterfly. My wings!
Right, so I have now done these supports and let me just quickly show you what I have done. They are very basic supports. Come up, little green metal piece that connects to the rail. I've also added these extra little sticks poking off some of the supports just for a little bit of extra added detail. They're very simple and they're very nice. I'm pretty damn happy with them. This land is honestly feeling like it's starting to finally come together now. It's pretty sick. So now that we got that done, what else do we need to do? So one thing we need to do, of course, is make the ride signs for the two rides. I don't know what I'm going to call these yet, but we'll figure something out. We also got to put the Bugsland entrance sign on here, and I guess just decorate the rest of the area. Maybe add some little tables and seats around, who knows? But honestly, we're getting pretty close to the end.
With that done, it means we can start putting in all the nature and the trees. And there's one thing I quickly want to show you all. Since the last time I'm recording, there was an update in the game and they have added all of these new bushes. Why does it look? There we go. These look freaking awesome. So of course, we're going to be using some of these around the park as well. So I think the first thing I want to do is get this side done. For that, we'll put some of these clovers back in that place. Add one there. Put one in over here. Where else could we put one? I don't know where else I could put one. Maybe like here in the lineup. I don't want it to cover the station too much. So maybe right there could be nice. And for the final one, I think maybe somewhere over... I don't know. Maybe just here could be good. I think for the land, that will be enough of these sort of clovers. So I think next what we can do is start placing some of these trees around to try and make it more like a foresty type of area. So let's get to that. So pretty much all I need to do is kind of just get trees placed everywhere. I don't want them like blocking any of the views of the ride though. I just kind of want the effect that it is very foresty. So we'll quickly try to do something along those lines, I guess. We'll paint these trees the right color as well. Now, I'm not going to show you me placing trees everywhere because that is honestly really boring, but I'll get back with you once I have finished placing trees. Oh my gosh, adding those extra ones, I just feel like made it so much more like foresty almost. That it's like actually just kind of like towering above as well. I think that just makes it look so much better. As clovers go though, I think we have plenty. One thing I do want to add is a different type of plants, I guess you would call them. Now these are in the movie, so we're gonna see how I can make these, but they're sort of like tall pieces of grass almost. They kind of like almost look like a piece of asparagus in a way, like they've got like some weird point on the top. So that's like the sort of generic shape. We can then paint this. I'm going to make this just a darker color as well, I think, just to add a bit more variety around. And just like that, that looks pretty good as the base of it. Now we just got to make the pieces of like leaf that come off them, I guess you'd call it. Now with this leaf thing I just made, I just kind of put it there, rotate it, move it up, kind of just copy that up, make it a little smaller the higher it gets, and then that should be pretty good. So we can group this, and we can now just place this as round as well, just for a bit more variety in the types of plants that are here. There we go, that looks a lot nicer now with just something else other than the clovers in the area. Now, with all that done, we just need to finish off with the trees. Right, so I have been adding heaps of trees and bushes absolutely everywhere, and it's kind of looking sick. So I think the next thing I need to do is the fence is going to go all the way from down here from the Monsters Inc. land, and the fence on the other side as well. So I'm going to go do that off screen because it's going to be pretty boring. I'm also probably going to do some other things off screen, like I want to fill in this with trees, more bushes over this side, maybe add in some little rocks around as well, just some more little extra details, and then I'll be right back with you for the final little touches of the land.
Oh, candy corn! Here, let me help you to finish it.
So I have now been building just for a little bit, and let me quickly show you what I've done. So just around this turn here, going from the Monsters Inc. to the Cars and Bugs Land area, I've cleaned it up. I've added a fence, you know, I've put some trees down, some lights. I've just made it really nice. I also added this sort of like wooden fence sort of thing here because the ride got very close to the fence. And this is a theme park and we don't want people getting hurt. So this is kind of just to block people from reaching out and grabbing it. Other than that, I've kind of just been placing some more trees around and simple stuff like that. Now that we've got this area done, it's this whole corner of the park is like pretty much finished. It's looking sick. Before we get on to fencing off this whole sort of like road here, I want to do something small over here, and that is just adding some little water emitters, kind of like, I guess the pipe's broken, I guess you would say. And then with these water emitters, I'm just gonna have them on posts, maybe? No, toggle, I think would be the best. There we go, that's looking good. Just like the hose kind of leaking is the sort of idea I'm going with here. Also going to add some to the brake run as well. Then I'm gonna need to up the emitter power a little bit. Not only are we going to have it leaking out of the hose, but I want it leaking out of the little tap here, like it has connected properly. And then I just want that one going constantly, just like it's constantly leaking, I guess. I think that's pretty high. I'm also just going to add a couple more trees to this sort of area, try and make it just feel more bushy, I guess. And this is looking pretty cool. It's very dark, so I think what I want to do next is lights, but I want the lights to be connected to like the fence poles. So what I need to do next is just the fence. So let's figure out a little and simple design real quick. Now I think my plan is going to be the same as these ones, which is going to take so damn long. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'll be back once I finally get all these poles in place. So I have now finished the fences. Honestly, it didn't take as long as I thought it would be. I think after doing all of these fences, I've kind of gotten used to it and I've gotten really good at it. But now if I was to remove all these lights and set it to nighttime, you'll notice it is very dark. Well, except for the ride, but yes, it is very dark. So we need to fix that. So let's quickly make a lamp that I can stick onto the fences. Now I want it to be decently simple, but also nice looking, of course. So I'm going to play around with some of the pre-built lights, and we'll see if we can make anything that's pretty nice. One thing I've seen people do is rotate two of the lights inside of each other to sort of make a cool effect. What I could also do is add some sort of like little just like ball on the top of that maybe. I think something just as simple as that actually works really nicely. So now all I need to do, or actually I need to adjust these light settings. So we want them off during the day, and then we can group all of these. One thing I forgot to do as well is I want to turn the brightness all the way down, turn the range up something decent. Let's quickly set this to night to see how it looks. So yeah, something like that should work nicely. And now we just got to kind of plop these around the whole land. Okay, now one thing I want to do as well, let's quickly just ride the ride so I can show you, is that most of this ride is going to be in the dark and it's going to be pretty difficult to see anything. So yeah, it's not the best to ride at night, but it could be a lot better. Yeah, it's just way too dark. You can't see squat. So what I'm going to do, similar to Cars Land, is I'm going to add like light orbs, sort of as ambient lighting, just so you're able to somewhat see. Let's get to that. Now, I don't know what colors I should be going for with these sort of like ambient lights. Let's try something like green maybe. Oh, okay, that works nicely. I think another color that would look really nice, probably even just be like maybe like a purple, might just be. Oh, yes, the pink I feel like will just look so nice, especially like just in sort of like random areas as well. Just to add some of that ambient pink lighting. Oh my, yeah, that's gonna look so clean. We need more of that. Just all these subtle like green and pink lights just add so much to the area, especially now that you can somewhat see at night as well. Another area that probably needs a lot of these sort of lights is around this main sort of ride as well. So we can place a couple in the bushes, and just like that, it makes it look a lot better. On the frog ride as well, we'll add just like a basic like normal light. We can also just grab some spotlights and just kind of face them towards the ride as well from the back. And that should light him up pretty nicely in the night. Now, I think the last little areas we need to add these lights to, I think are just some areas in the queue where they're quite dark. I need to add one somewhere in here. I'll also put one over towards this corner more where this pink light is. I like how this is dark, but it's not too dark. I kind of want to sort of keep that idea for the whole area. I really like the backlighting from like the pink lights as well on the can of beans. It just looks so nice. Okay, we also need to add a light into the exit as well, because this is very dark. If we put it here, it should also somewhat light up the ride, which is pretty nice. And with that done, I think the lighting is looking pretty good. Actually, over here it looks pretty damn dark. So let's jump on the ride real quick and we'll see how it looks now. The land honestly looks so nice. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. It's a lot better. It's not just like pitch black now. You can actually see the track and some of the trees, which is nice. Oh yeah, this is awesome. Oh my gosh. This whole park, once it's finished, is going to look so freaking cool. There's the ride. I have a full POV of this ride coming out, so you're just gonna have to be patient and wait. Well, I think that should be all the lighting done. So let's set this back to day. I honestly think this land looks a lot nicer at night. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm just going to say it. One thing it does need though is lights during the day, just because there's a lot of shadows. So we kind of just need something to fix that ever so slightly. We'll have these lights turn off at night, and I think just like that should fix it a lot. Actually, I want to add one more just over into this little bunch of trees, and that should be good. Just makes it a little bit better and easier to see some areas. Like over here, we don't really need to see anything. That can remain dark, but it makes it look a whole lot nicer. Okay, now what do we have left to do? We need to create a name for the little quick service restaurant here. We need a name for the flat ride, a name for the roller coaster. We also need to put in the icon here. So I'm going to go and do that, and I'll be right back with you once I've got those images made so we can put them into place. I now have the image panels made, so let's put some of those into place. The first one is just the Bugs Land logo. Let's see if this fits in nicely. Oh, there it is. It looks pretty nice. And this next one is just the little food store, which I decided to call Grub and Guts. Okay, that is kind of off. There we go. That works. Now, what I need to do next is make a little sign for the rides. That also includes the ride info sign next to the entrance. So let's make a little something for those. Now, I plan on these being really basic and honestly being nothing special at all. I think something as simple as this is going to be fine for just the ride signs. And then something as simple as this just as the ride info. So now all I need to do is get the image panels just in place.
And then we can start to design the actual entrances, entrance signs. Every time I make a new ride name and ride like info sign, I forget how long it takes, but we got there in the end and we're ready to put these into place. First off, we're going to do the jumping ride with the frog here, and I decided to call this the leaping frog. Very funny, get it? Because it's a frog. So first, let's quickly put in the ride info. Hopefully that fits well. I don't know why that text is like that, but it's fine. And then, of course, we will do the main sign for the leaping frog. It should hopefully fit in fine. Well, okay, I don't know what I was doing, but my calculations were obviously all just wrong. There we go. That's better. We got the leaping frog in place. And now we got to do the main ride. And of course, this ride is a caterpillar, just like a certain character from the Bugs Life movie called Heimlich. Now, if you've seen the movie, a bit of a spoiler, at the end, he turns into a butterfly. And as you can see here, he is not a butterfly. He is still a caterpillar. So I decided I'm going to call this Heimlich's test flight. He's kind of preparing for when he turns into a butterfly. That's sort of the story of the ride. It's not going to be shown or said anywhere, but that's just kind of the idea. And of course, with this, we also just need a little ride info sign. That should hopefully fit into place. First try. Oh, beautiful. Honestly, these look pretty sick if you ask me. Oh my goodness, this land has come together. Like, we have done so much this episode. It's honestly crazy. If you've made it this far into this 30-minute plus like movie, then thank you. I think there's one little last detail I want to do here, and we just gotta quickly make that so we can put it around. And that's gonna be, of course, some chairs and some trash cans, I guess. Now, as everything else in the land, this is gonna be made out of twigs. Something simple like this for the design will work perfectly. I think something just as simple as this, honestly, or why did I place that? I think something as simple as this just looks really nice and effective. And for a trash can, we won't make anything too crazy. Now that we got these, we can just place a couple of these around. I'm gonna put two right there. We of course have to have just a couple right outside of the food area so people can actually sit down and eat. Of course, we want to add some trash cans down as well so people don't litter. Also add one just outside of the quick service restaurant. We also need them just out the front of the rides because people are going to empty their pockets before they go in. You can of course add more benches around the place as well. And well, I think with those put in place, I think we finished a Bugs Land in a whopping 2 episodes. Now, I could have really easily split this into 3, but you know, like that's not fun, is it? Plus, you guys get an epic 30-minute long video to watch. Honestly, I think this whole land honestly looks so good, especially for it just being a mini land. I feel like it just all works out so nicely. The theme, it's like just around, even the benches, the trash cans, everything just works. Now, I have a PLV coming out for this soon, but on Wednesday, I'm going to be releasing the Cars Speed Test PLV since I finally finished this area. So stay tuned for that. Honestly, this land is so nice. I'm so happy with it. I think with that said, we have now finished the episode and the land. If you have made it this far into the video, remember to like and subscribe. It means the world, trust me. And what are we going to build next? Next land's going to occupy this little corner here, and I'll give you a little teaser for that right now.